돌아온 영들 리턴하지.
Welcome back to the 2016 Hearthstone KeSPA Cup with Valdez and Wolf. We're about to jump into the final game, final set here of Group B. And it all comes down to this, CheOnsu versus Flurry.
That it does, and this is going to be an exciting one as you have the round of 4 from the Hearthstone World Championship Korea representative and Flurry, the defending Masters Korea. With these guys facing each other, they're both the big favorites by many's estimation to get out of the group, and now one of them will advance. And we've seen the majority of these decks already today, so I'm excited to see how these are going to clash in this ban phase, which we're going to check out.
It all comes down to that. Is anyone going to have Shaman banned? Are they both going to first pick it? Do they have something else in store? We definitely saw that CheOnsu bring in that very aggressive warrior. It didn't really work out too well for him. I think he has 1 win and maybe 2 losses with that. So wouldn't be surprised to see it self-banned if he wants to bring in something else, perhaps.
We'll take a look. Shaman versus Rogue, and Shaman and Rogue, the respective classes banned. Self-banned being the Druid for CheOnsu.
I'm glad that we've finally come that far, you know, that it's either Shaman or Rogue banned, and then if one of them is picked, or rather they're picked, and if one of them is picked, then the other gets banned. Yeah. Players kind of coming to the same conclusion that we did.
Yeah, I think we're pretty spot on the money. Druid, though, coming out for Flurry could be a risk. I think when he uses it is going to be important. I think Druid can be very strong if you use it as your last when you're ahead in a series and you corner your opponent into a certain matchup, but if it's your last deck left and you're behind, as we saw, well, especially for KaiZero, because he had such a specific Druid deck, it's really hard. But it gets really rough to use these Druid decks in certain matchups, especially against heavy aggression.
See if it pays off for him, having that Druid Flurry. But we're about to jump into the final match of the entire night. It's coming down to this. Just one best of 5 to decide who makes it on to the next stage. And as you said, the next stage very important, so you get to bring new decks and more money on the line, more fame. So let's see who's going to take the lead here in game number 1 between CheOnsu and Flurry.
Will be the Warrior Mirror. These two.
I think that's the first time, or maybe like the second time we've had this.
Yeah, definitely one we don't encounter often, especially the Shaman being so prevalent in the opening match. You don't normally see mirrors after the opening, with some exceptions. And I think this happens kind of because we have that alternate ban with the Rogue and Shaman. Check out that AK Racing tilt-in back, nice leather chair. Gonna be the Nazoth, first mate, patches, hook to face. We've seen that before. And on the opposite side of things, it's a bit of a tougher turn. If you play the Pirate now, you lose the buff. You'll likely lose the Pirate. Trade. If you don't play it, you use the Axe, but you don't have a board. your opponent gets this free cultist buff. It's not as powerful as buffing a War Axe. I feel like it's kind of going to be inferior, but it gains value the longer you don't have another weapon, which is the case here for him, so that's why he uses it.
It's good for trading, you know, more so than just face damage. You get 3 times to do 2 damage to anything that's on the board.
Now, this upgrade play is so perfect. So you clear the cultist, gives him this huge buff on Blood Sail, and Patches will allow him to trade with the 1/1.
He does have Blood for Eager, so he's going to do that in trade. He's going to eat 6 damage happily.
It's unfortunate it takes 6 damage like this, but well worth it, and he still actually maintains a current health advantage. Now, Arcanite Reaper is coming down the pipeline. He would love to buff that if possible,
He could
but
do
that's
it
a
this
pipe
turn.
dream. Well, he's going to buff this to Arcanite Reaper levels, which is basically an equivalent buff. You're really missing 1 set of damage there if you think about comparatively, but you were 1 charge behind anyways, so kind of missing a small amount of damage. And buffing the Arcanite Reaper, like I said, is a pipe dream. It's maybe impossible to occur. And this immediate upgrade is still very powerful. Could trade into the Cultist and get a 5/4 on his Berserker, but it will be cleared right afterwards. Still, I think a good option. Doesn't want a Rusty Hook. That's the awkwardness when you have 2 N'Zoth first mate. They have anti-synergy with each other. You can only have 1 weapon at a time.
Yeah. I think it's not a bad idea to trade into that, but trading to this is also pretty good. You get an extra 2 damage and leave that 2/2 on the board. And, you know, next turn, if he decides to trade the Cultist into the 2/2, into the Slime, then you can just trade it with your last charge of the Hook. So he's going to go ahead and do that. And at the same time, though, this Berserker gets played out on the field here.
The thing is, with the Berserker here, it's such a massive advantage for CheOnsu. He has Mortal Strike, which if he takes a little bit more damage will be so valuable. You can use Arcanite Reaper as a clear as a result. I think he's just going to play this and then re-equip. He can clear this, which puts him nearly at the 12 health. That will give him the buff. He can do 6 damage to face. He has 5 damage available. He could have 12 if he takes any damage and the weapon remains and there's no taunts. He has Fierce Monkey, but if there were no taunts, he would have 12 to offer. As I say that, the Berserker still remains, so this may just simply be too much.
Even if he taunts here, you just swing with the axe, take the damage, and then your Mortal Strike kills him off.
Perfect.
So that's going to be it.
That's
quick game 1.
So, and it goes. That's all the damage he needed. Doesn't even matter what he draws. It's flying off the hook.
Off the chain. He's trying to decide which way he wants to do it. Okay, there he goes. Now he's going to swing face, get a little bit of extra damage there. And that is going to be game number 1, going to CheOnsu. Very quick fashion.
Easy peasy. Just gets that early lead. And the mirror, so important. We've seen it time and time again. More move Warrior for CheOnsu, leaving him with the Shaman and Warlock. Now is not the time to Druid. I'd say try to get a win on Shaman with the Warrior. We could see Warlock as a result now that CheOnsu's been able to encounter Flurry's Warrior and see a little bit what it's about. See if he has his Warlock cards he can kind of counter with. You know, he's running a very standard Reno. See, there's arguments for both sides, the Shaman and the Warlock. Warlock is riskier, but if you win it, you're like in such good position.
You have a Shaman to win 1 out of 3 games, and it's like you basically just win. As long as you don't get crazy bad draws. We'll see what he wants to do. If he's confident in that matchup, maybe he'll go for Warlock first. Jumping into game number 2 of CheOnsu versus Flurry.
Shaman variation. Get out of that hand, Patches. How many times have I told you?
Such a greedy pirate, man.
Just going to keep the small time. Now this tournament, small time should go full time. I mean, he's in almost every deck. He's...
Well, this is his debut, you know? He's got to show off his stuff here in all of these games, and then maybe he'll get promoted by Blizzard. We're going to have to wait and see.
That's what I'd like to see. I think he deserves it. We'll probably see double small time here. Into next turn, Jade. He also has the Patches. And oh boy, Flurry is not going to be happy with this. The next turn he'll have the Jade Claws.
Fairy Dragon flies out of the hands, not because it's a fantastic play, but because it's his only play. And Jade Claws easily just takes this out, and look at how much damage is on board now. 7, turn 2, 8 for next turn, once that Jade Golem is stopped sleeping.
I don't want to call this game over, but...
Sometimes, you know, this is the game, like, people that are trying to grind to Legend, the game starts off like this, and they just concede right away to save time. Like, just to call it, you know, like it is.
Yeah.
Flame Tongue is just adding insult to injury at this point.
He's not going to use his claws because he wants to maintain the 4 extra damage.
And
oh, the worst draw. He just drops out.
There you go.
And I don't blame him. That game was over. One of our fastest games in the tournament, won in 4 turns.
It's like, I don't know if it's just as strong as the old, what was that Undertaker?
Undertaker Hunter?
Yeah, with the death rattles. I don't know if it's as strong as that start, but it's pretty close.
Yeah.
When you get double small time with Patches and then you have Jade Claws next, it's an incredible amount of damage.
Double Undertaker, next turn double Leper Gnome, and you're like, oh.
Sorry. Happy Feast of Wintervale.
I remember those days. Well,
both of the Undertakers are 3/4s.
This is definitely a tough spot now to be in for Flurry.
Yeah, and you know, maybe he could have put out Korkan Elite, charge into the totem, the Flame Tongue totem, but there was just so much momentum going the way of CheOnsu that it was going to be nearly impossible. So he just gives it away. He says, okay, you take this one. I got to focus on the next match. Speaking of that, let's go into game number 3 right now.
All right, Rogue coming out. Just gonna switch it up. That's the Warlock or CheOnsu to clear it out. The Warlock, obviously, of the 3, the toughest to win with. He even brings Corruption. I haven't seen that card since the first week I played the beta.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, this card's not good.
It was one of the first cards. And I wonder why.
I don't even know. Maybe it's for, like, some of the Aviana stuff. Maybe it's a tech card. I don't know.
Well, it's definitely got to be for something specific. He's not just like, yeah, I think this is a good card now. It must be the decks that he's facing.
Might be good for, like, early ramped out, like, Behemoth or something. I mean, I'm just really grasping at straws.
Or like a Frothing Berserker that you don't really have another answer to.
Well, this is a great start for Flurry so far. It's like any other start you'd see normally. But he gets the SI7 early, which means that this...
Is he going to Corruption? Ooh. The tech coming through.
So it will die at the start of CheOnsu's next turn. Still get 3 more damage. Man, the last time I saw Corruption in play, sometimes you'd silence your own minion because everyone ran so much silence, and you'd be like, aha! Now it doesn't die!
Well, Flurry's playing very fast. I hope he's not too frustrated after that loss. He just, like, immediately played it, but I mean, some of these turns are pretty self-explanatory, but he is, like, flying. These minions are, like, flying out of his hands right now.
I mean, you guys watching at home know this is not This is a spectator client, so there's like some delay involved. Like you can feel the flight. Okay. CheOnsu is definitely in some trouble here. Down now to at best 9 health. Actually, he'll probably save the dagger. He's actually going to trade. Doesn't want to lose too much momentum here. Patches will
actually
trade
very
with
nice.
both.
Now you can trade Patches and the stagger to the other one. Very, very good player.
He gets Van Cleef. Reno would be a great draw here, but I'm afraid not to be seen. He's going to Doomsayer with this, I guess. He could taunt it, yeah, that's another option.
9 health in total, I guess.
And Doomsayer would probably have been just eliminated. Or ignored, rather.
See, this is kind of, you know, we talk about Van Cleef against Shaman. They don't run hexes, so it's like, you know, can work out, but already the Warlock is at turn 6, and yes, he only runs 1 Siphon Soul, but if you dump every single card you have into Van Cleef, can be a bit risky. There's not many other plays. Like, he can coin SI Agent and then Van Cleef, and it's pretty big. He can still go for like a middle range Van Cleef. I think it's 8/8.
The Succubus here is kind of funny because he never wants to play that. All these pieces are so essential, but he's getting close to an empty hand where he could actually have a 4/3 without discard. All right, CheOnsu looking for the Reno. Reno and the Voidwalker would be so amazing right now. Does not get it.
Last Crystal Potion.
That's going to at least remove the 8/8. And there's not, we know there's not enough to finish after that. I might just do that and Doomsayer. Hellfire is not going to clear anything, and it will do damage to him, so thoroughly useless in this case.
He can Void Caller too to eat some damage.
Yeah.
With the Doomsayer.
He's going to draw. Can still play both. Needs to be careful not to destroy his crystal before playing the Void Caller. He lives for the time being. Oh, Void Caller sounds a lot more epic in Korean. I've never heard that one before.
Yeah, it really
Sap.
does. Right off the top. And Flurry's quick plays grant him a quick win here in game number 2. Or 3, rather.
There you go. Again, I mentioned the Warlock is going to be the toughest to win with, but he has 3 chances. No surprise the Rogue defeats it handily, especially without Reno. But he's got 3 chances to grab that Reno in these defensive setups.
Yep, that he does. If he can get just a decent draw, you know, like Twilight Drake into having Reno, or, you know, some other kind of taunts to just survive for a bit, maybe like a Shadow Bolt or something like that, he will definitely have a better chance. And Rogue, definitely one of the strongest decks we've seen here, so as Flurry runs out of decks and gets down to his last decks, the Warlock will have a better and better chance, no doubt.
I think CheOnsu, though, feeling the pressure here, knowing that this is not going to be easy. This deck is an incredible ladder deck and a great deck where you could get a free win against any type of archetype, but it's tough.
Yeah, definitely going to be tough for him. Let's see if he can close it out here in game number 4 against Flurry.
Going back to the Warrior. See, as you mentioned earlier, this is the Draconoid Crusher variation. Considering dropping the Fierce Monkey for some more early pressure, does commit to it. We'll get the part-time Buccaneer. Get the Walmart Buccaneer.
Not part-time today or yesterday, he's full-time duty. Nearly every single game of Hearthstone that we played yesterday and today.
Extra credit Buccaneer. Well,
B-Team Buccaneer.
there's that corruption again. Probably just going to Mortal Coil. Dirty Rat is in hand too, and Dirty Rat can stop the taunt of the Twilight Guardians, both of them. And now that he's actually... Ooh, this is a bit awkward. So he takes the Hunter. Now that he has the Wiggleton out, Dirty Rat becomes a good play. He doesn't know that, but... Oh, and he gets Reno too. I mean,
It's looking really good.
when you look at the chances, like, one of the 3 games, he will get the Reno. I mean, mathematically, statistically, there's a very high chance that one of the 3 games, he will get it. Multiply the amount of times, you know, he has the opportunity to do it.
Maybe he wanted to wait until after turn 3 in case a Fierce Monkey was here to go for the Dirty Rat. Not sure.
I'm going to use that Mortal Coil now. He's feeling a lot more safe now that he has the Reno. He can play a lot more flexibly. And of course, there's no way Flurry can know if he has the Reno or not. He's buying turns towards 6. This is a worthless turn, as we know. His Reno will negate all damage. And
Freshman Fender buys him some more time. He could trade with that with the Blackwing Corruptor.
next turn, he can also play Thaurissan. And that will make the combo later on in the game with Power Overwhelming is a real possibility. Definitely does not want a Reno here. Could just Mountain Giant. That's the way. That's a great draw. That's going to be so difficult to deal with. And if he just ignores it, CheOnsu smiles and plays Reno.
Yeah.
I think that we might see that. He could hide behind the taunt.
Yeah.
He could do 7 damage and hide behind the taunt.
Does he hide or does he go for as much damage as possible? Those are the only two options.
He's going to be so sad when he finds out. Watch Flurry's face. Watch the bottom left of your screen.
In his head right now, he's like, okay, if he doesn't have Reno, I probably win. If he does, I lose.
Watch the face.
Yeah.
He already knew. He's not even surprised, in fact.
Not happy about it, though.
This game is not over, but it is a huge swing in favor of CheOnsu.
That it is. He's going to get this Twilight Guardian out and begin to buff up the Frothing Berserker. But back up at 30 health now is CheOnsu with the 4-6 on board and about 6 more cards than Flurry has.
He can Thaurissan here. He's going to clear the board with this, and I know he doesn't even have the card that destroys your minion, does health, does damage. Oh, he's just going to Shambler. Faceless Shambler, going to become an 8-10 taunt. I run this deck, I've played it a lot, I've never thought to use this interaction before. And now that I see it, I'm like, oh my god.
Like, yeah, that's pretty strong.
I'm such a terrible player.
Well, there's no Pirate on board, but you can put... Oh, there becomes one. Okay, there we go. So he's going to double buff and clear this, take 8 damage, lose his Berserker. Doesn't really have another play, though.
He barely clears this, by the way. I mean, it is tight. And Thaurissan can come out. He has Shadow Bolt. He has 28 health. He's going to Thaurissan here. I'll probably just get rid of the first mate.
Yeah.
Make some Australians real sad.
My first mate, he's going down.
Down he goes.
Gets an imp too. So just some extra power on board.
Again, Leroy coming in with Faceless could get that finishing power. He doesn't have Power Overwhelming anymore, but it's an important piece. Clearing this will be frustrating at best. In fact, he may ignore the cat.
Yeah, with the Warlock up at 26 health, it's unfortunately he's not really in range for you to begin going face yet.
Soulfire, he runs that. Did not, as we say here, did not expect.
Just thinking about a way to make Hellfire work.
He can. if he Shadow bolts the Guardian, runs the 2-3 into it, then runs his 1-1 into the 3-3, then he can clear the entire board. That wouldn't be... It wouldn't keep him with a healthy board, but it's insignificant because he has now currently 7 cards to 0 in hand.
Kazakus just strong. This is like a really nice time to have Kazakus because it's like you're not under any danger. It's a 3-3. It's not the best body, but your board position is pretty nice. He does have no cards in hand, the Warrior, so you can easily play Dirty Rat for free. Look at that. The woes continue here for Flurry.
That is Korkron Elite. I think that might be game.
It's going to be pretty close if he can somehow get some draws, but in hand there is
13 damage.
13 damage, so it doesn't matter. I believe that's game.
Yep.
He's going to take even more damage here as he uses his weapon into the 2-3 Dirty Rat, and he's not going to be happy when he sees the follow-up here, as it looks like CheOnsu is going to be going on to the semifinals, and Flurry will be going home.
That is game over. He'll finish with Leroy Jenkins.
A good finish, no doubt.
That's how our group stage ends. CheOnsu with the win. You get that Reno, you get the win against the aggro. And that's why he saves Warlock for last, knowing that one of the 3 games, it will work out. And it was game 2 of that 3-game exchange that did happen. Very impressive play from our top 4 BlizzCon world player in CheOnsu. And that will be it for today. And one of our scariest players in this tournament, said by everyone in Group A and Pro Gamers, Flurry, is out of the tournament. One of the big favorites to win it all.
Yeah, it was funny to see him go. You know, one of the series that he had was very, very close with CheOnsu originally, but unfortunately just barely not able to squeak it out there. A couple of really great starts for CheOnsu in this best of 5 where he was just easily able to take quick win after quick win, and we saw the one quick win from Flurry on his Rogue, but it wasn't enough as he went into his Warrior.
Yeah. Takeaways from tonight for me, really think that Warlock and Druid are the weak links. As we move into best of 5s and then a best of 7 finals, we might see them in the best of 7. But I think that we will see a reappearance of Priest tomorrow. I think that Paladin will come in some form as well, potentially in some sort of aggro variation, because it seems like these slow decks are really relying on Reno in every form, including the Freeze Mage, another inconsistent deck we've seen in this tournament. It seems like really what you want to win with is you want your Shaman, your Rogue, your Warrior, and obviously because of the ban against you, you're looking for one more deck. And I don't know if the Warlock and the Druid decks are going to be consistent enough. I think whoever brings tomorrow a new deck is going to be the one who wins the tournament. Could be.
You know, or maybe someone finds a way to make Priest work, you know, or the Freeze Mage if they feel like that's strong enough.
Dahyani brings a Hunter in like he promised.
Yeah, that would be insane. Don't think that's going to happen. I don't predict it to happen. Maybe in the best of 7 where he's forced to bring 7 decks, I guess. We might see it in there. We might self-ban it. Not 100% sure about that. Might take all other 7 classes that aren't Hunter instead.
I really do feel like when you look at Rogue, Shaman, Warrior, and then you take, those are the top 3. Then you have the 2 remaining decks in the Warlock, and of course the Druid. I think whoever can find something, the 6th deck beyond all this, wins the tournament tomorrow.
Very true, guys. A short 1-minute break. We'll be right back.